Forget about Friday. Forget about the price action. It was a mirage. Forget about it. We are right back where we closed on Thursday. And you know what brought us back here? Well, yeah, tech, AI, tech, AI. Palantir piling it on. Good earnings. Got some other earnings to cover. Not so good. Caterpillar, Mercado Libre. We'll cover those. Jeff Hirsch, 8:35. Talk about seasonality in the stock traders almanac. It's Tuesday. Stay tuned here. I don't want you guys watching CNBC, even if Trump's on. It's pre-market prep.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
Okay, traders, you're up 15 3/4 handles, 53.71.75. Thursday's close, 73.50. The buck, 98.80, trying to get back into triple digits. That's up 21 cents. TLT pulling back a little bit, 27 cents at 87.79. USO pulling back from 80, down 43 cents, 75.68. GLD down $2, 308.99. SLV flat. Bitcoin up $200. And let's bring on Dennis. And Dennis, on yesterday's show, you were saying, well, if this market's going to come back, it's going to be AI and tech. And
that interview is timely, Joel. It's on right now. So we're going to listen live to President Trump here. We're listening to it live in the background, analyze what he says, because obviously he will move markets. Commentary that we are looking for here is obviously any update on tariffs, any update on deals, any update on the potential search for a new Fed chair if he's already looking into that. So keep that in mind. Brentster, I want to bring you in this conversation here as well. It's a special show because normally we're not watching the other network.
He's trying to go head-to-head with us?
They're trying to go head-to-head with us. This was intentional. They brought that in 8 a.m. to try to take our traffic away. I think so, Joel. I think so. Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on, y'all?
Well, now they've got Jeremy Siegel commentary on here. They're playing that for Trump. Jeremy Siegel should feel pretty special here right now.
Triple D, what were we going to say?
We're listening to the background. Trump is on, which we thought the interview would be later because normally CNBC is usually not punctual and Trump is usually not punctual, but they're very punctual, 8:02, 2 minutes after. So he is on. They're playing Jeremy Siegel's commentary here about the Fed needing to cut rates to Donald Trump. Of course they are.
Why wouldn't they?
Okay, let's just sit back and listen for a second.
Okay.
It's going to be a quiet
Listening
show.
Party here. Okay.
As soon as Trump's talking.
See, I got the closed captions up, but
it's a good idea, Joe.
Where do you get the notion that it's rigged? Kernan's asking. Trump commenting on why he thinks the jobs numbers were rigged. Talking about rigged election numbers right now. Talking about the revisions. We unfortunately can't play CNBC. We would get fined for that. So we can't actually play CNBC live right now. We'd actually get a fine for that. So we can only comment back towards it right now. So, but if you've got on the background, we're going to keep breaking down the commentary here.
Oh, I believe I'm not listening or watching CNBC, but I have a source that I think is giving me the highlights, so I can break in with some highlights and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm doing it too.
Cool.
So yeah, if he's just going to talk, if he starts breaking in with something really cool, it could be a long interview. So we'll keep coming in and out of it here.
Cool.
S&P futures are going to be volatile here. If he says anything one, we're going to go again. If he says anything about more tariffs, that's a negative. If he says anything about deals, that's a positive. If he says anything about, firing the Fed chair, that would be a negative. If he says, oh, he's probably, staying the course, but we're looking for a Fed chair, that would be viewed as a positive. So I'm giving you scenario analysis here on this interview. I think
awesome,
you'll
Dennis.
see some commentary on some of this stuff here. So Brentster will keep breaking in. You want to just stay with us, keep listening in the background for Brentster breaking in here as well. With regards to the market yesterday, dead cat bounce. Yeah, no. So this is why live in the Stock Trader Network after 9:30, I got the beats. I was trying to play the stocks, play the dead cat bounce. Had a rough morning, figuring they would come in and sell the bounce. The deal potential, the talk of deal with EU broke right at 9:30. Joel,
Yes.
and you were like, and Brent broke in with that too, and that kind of derailed any case that the Bears had, and the market continued to build on that. So I was like, I'm covering my shorts. I'm like, I said it at 9:35, 9:40 in the STN room. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. Lost some money on the open trying to short the market, but you got to get out. You got to cover early. It was short stocks like a firm. I covered at 68, stock 75.70 this morning. So you got to know when you're wrong, and you want immediate gratification. When you think a dead cat bounce, so educational piece here. When you think the market is dead cat bouncing from a night before, you want to see sellers start to emerge after the open after 9:30. If they do not, your thesis may have holes. If they start talking about talks with the EU at 9:30, that fundamental news probably would put serious holes in your thesis there. So yeah, so dead cat bounce at this point in time doesn't look like it. Still don't know. We didn't make new highs here yet, so it could still be. But at this point in time, the Bears were in control Friday. The Bulls re-grabbed control yesterday.
What's interesting too is you kind of had some longs that weren't working out either. You think that that, wow, hey, the market's rallying, some of the stocks that you're long, would go up, but they definitely, Berkshire Hathaway definitely did not participate in yesterday's rally anyway whatsoever. But Dennis, let's go to Palantir. I mean, we can listen to Trump. He's talking about the data. I don't know if this is any breaking news. If people are quick on the trigger and they're going to want to make some trades off this, go right ahead. We can always break in with the news. But Palantir, I mean, when you put in your headline that, what was the word they used, Brent? Something about like blowing away, or
they said crushing estimates. They
That's
said that in the title of the press release. Never before seen, folks. I've been doing news for almost 20 years. I've never seen a company do that. I don't know. It's kind of cool. They know who their audience is. I'll say that.
That's unbelievable. I mean, I asked you, Brent, we were covering this live, obviously, over the Stock Trader Network there too, where our live commentary is a lot longer than people saying, after 9 o'clock show ends. Show does not end after 9 o'clock. It continues till 10:30 every morning over on Stock Trader Network. And then we have shows during the day and obviously the afternoon show as well. So you were saying live there, Brent, like, I've never seen comments like this where they actually put in their press release of their earnings, like their earnings release, crushing estimates. I've never seen that word. You've probably, you've worked the Benzing News Desk for 10 years. You've probably seen millions, literally millions of earnings reports and went through them. And you're saying this is the first time you've ever seen a company say crushing in their earnings release.
Not just in the release, in the title. And you know what?
In the title.
In the title. And I am thankful for that, because it allows me to get everybody in PreMarket Prep and STN the information faster. When I see they put that in the title, I can just express it right away. And here's the thing: they crushed the guidance estimates. They're right. They absolutely destroyed that guidance figure. That was one of the stronger pieces of guidance I've seen this earnings quarter. The earnings were like, they were okay. They were fine. They beat, but the guidance was really, in my opinion, why we're seeing the stock up, a good $10 here this morning.
And that's intentionally put in the title. That is to
100%.
Get the algos going. Like, the algos are headline readers. They're going to grab it and they're going to go with it, and they see crushing. I mean, does this set now a dangerous precedent where other companies are going to potentially do this as well? Like saying, other companies, we're not the only people that notice this. Could you get some other companies that are like, really happy about the reports and saying, we killed X-Men, we crushed X-Mets, we're just firing on all cylinders, we're raking it in. Remember? Does that start a dangerous I've never seen that before.
Maybe. Well,
like, are we in this market environment where it's all just about manipulating the algorithmic activity that is so all over these earnings, Brent?
I mean, I will say Palantir, I don't know if I can answer your question directly, Dennis, but Palantir is a leader, especially for the retail crowd. They consider them a trendsetter, in my opinion. So if Palantir is doing this, they're getting a good response from the market on it. Maybe you have a really good point, Dennis. I like this thought. I like where you're going with this thought. I don't know if I like it, but you have a good thought.
Yeah. And I mean, would it be, let's just say Apple comes out with their earnings. Tim Cook says we crushed estimate. I don't think Apple's going to do anything like that. I think it's going to be smaller companies that do it. But I mean, Palantir is not a small company anymore. Palantir is a leader. Palantir is, worth a lot of money here. So not really that small of a company anymore. But, amazing. Joel, break down the technicals here on PLTR. President Trump just breaking Kevin Warsh and Kevin Hassett, both very good Fed candidates. So talking about potential Fed candidates going forward here. I think it could be Hassett too. I've speculated that as well. What we do know with 100% certainty is that the next Fed chair is going to be very accommodative. There is not going to be a Fed chair appointed that is a hawk and, sitting here, we need to keep our on inflation, keep rates high. They are going to be very dovish, the next Fed chair. I can tell you that much. And they are going to be listening to exactly what Donald Trump wants.
Very interesting. Very interesting. It's really no new news because those two guys, Hassett and Warsh, I believe were talked about before. We got the numbers for the Palantir for the beat by 2 cents, and then a nice beat on the revenue. Just a big guidance bump. Couple things. One, haven't hit the expected move yet. Very orderly rally, a small decline, and then back up. But you're right at the pre-market highs here. The pre-market high, 172.20, was just eclipsed a few minutes ago at 172.43. The expected move takes it up to 180. I think you just got to take some notes and say, hey, are you just going to just have this relentless push to 180? Or are you going to get Microsoft a little bit where it comes in? This is, hey, we don't care. Our target's 165. We got 5 million to sell. We're going to sell it down to 165. So very important to see if it could get to that expected move. The opening print as well is see if there's sellers. But right now, just seems like a relentless bid, good volume trading should be able to clear out everything in the book. Of course, if you take the options into this and, let's say you have the 170 calls, the price that it's trading at now, 172.30, it's going to be a lot different price off the open than it will be 2, 3, 4 hours later in the day. So just a quick heads up to you options traders out there. And if you think this is something just the beginning, the path to 200, you don't necessarily have to get out of those weeklies. You can roll them. There's certain things you can do to take advantage of the premium in them. So that's it. Palantir up 1160, making new highs in the pre-market session. Let's move it on. Let's go good report. Let's go bad report here. Let's go to Hims trading down $7 in the pre-market. Very big rally off the Nova Notice, pulling the drug 40. You go to nearly 70. You have high expectations. They beat 17 versus 14, a mixed report, missing 544.83 versus 549, slight miss. Guidance looks okay, but just very, very high expectations for Hims. Taking it on the chin. Will the buy the dippers come in above that 50-day moving average at 53.78?
Down 11%. This is a retail darling. This is a stock that has a history of the dip getting bought. If we look last time when they were, and again, that was NVO news when it gapped down there. It was down for about 3 or 4 days and then lifted. You know, Karen Feineman often says the 3-day rule she uses. I often say the same thing, 2 to 3 days. Usually the first day you go in, you don't know. But if you can get 2 or 3 lows, Joel, like you often say, in the same area, and then start to show some life, that's probably when you start to think about this. But this is a candidate. So this is not like your classic value UNH, you know, healthcare name. This is a healthcare name, but this is a retail darling. So I do think that by the dip eventually reemerges in this name as well, as long as the bulls remain in control, with which obviously they are. So I think, you know, you can put this on your watch list, keep an eye, can it make a couple lows in the same area, give you a level? That's how I'd be approaching HIMS.
Just under 54 is the pre-market low. You've already bounced 3 points off that, so could find some buyers ahead of that pre-market low. Let's see, still early in the session here for HIMS.
Trump did say that he could be announcing a new Fed chair fairly soon. I don't know what that means. Like, you announce the new Fed chair before the other one goes out next year, or does he stepping down? I don't know what that means. I don't know if the market knows what that means. Hirsch, Hassett, 2 other candidates considered. So he's talking about the exact stuff we thought he'd talk about, is, you know, who is a potential successor to Jay Powell. But as of this time, Powell's still there. Market not moving much here. So the market starts to move. We'll cut back in with the Trump interview here. Other earnings from, you know, last night, which we want to cover. We're kind of going through the earnings from last night first. MELI, Mercado Libre did report earnings here, Joel. I'm going to give you the earnings here right now. This is obviously the Amazon of South America, is what I'll say. You can say Latin America, South America, the Amazon down there. $10.31 versus 12 is a miss. And also, I'm getting reported, 6.79 billion versus 6.55 billion on the sales. So they beat on the sales, but the earnings bottom line was a big miss here as well. Earnings were decent. You know, like you got a mixed report here, but well, the sales were decent, but the earnings were not. And that's why the stock is down 131 points. Also, the bar here, this has been an unbelievable performer for a very long time. If you go out to the monthly, so $500 stock in 2022, we're talking about a $2,500 stock just last week. It has been a consolidation station here for a while. It is leaking. Again, this is another stock, though, that they often do come on the dip. So I would say similar to HIMS, I'd be looking for levels in the next couple of days if we can stabilize.
Down 100 to nearly $132. Wow, what a quiet consolidation ahead of the report for better over a month. I don't know, probably hard to play a strangle on a $2,300 stock. But not getting many cues here in the pre-market as of yet. Pre-market low, 2,200 right on the kisser. I kind of like that. You're $64 off that already. So man, I'd say the next low above that, if you're looking, 22.1746 was your low on May 7th. But longer term for this one, I can try and give you some shorter term levels. Boy, you got a wall of resistance now at this 2350 area. So I would just think the longer that it takes to recover and get back into that area, that's going to be super extra major resistance. I just think it's hard to pick a buying point anywhere between really 1,800 and 2,200. But we'll see how the buy the dippers come in for Mercado Libre Inc. trading deep in the red here with the market up.
Axon Enterprises was the other big one from last night that reported earnings, and AXON is it reported $2.12, so just a huge beat versus $1.46. 669 million versus 641 million. They do raise sales guidance here as well, just slightly up from 2.6, 2.7, 2.65 to 2.73. So a slight raise in guidance, but the earnings was a huge beat here. Your police equipment maker really is what it is. Tasers, the Axon body cams, all over that. Still, obviously demand there. And the stock now approaching all-time highs once again, although running probably into some resistance up there, Joel, near that 800.
Yep. It looks like we just got a little. I'm just going to go to the S&Ps here real quick. We just get a little dive here. I'm not sure what he said. Oh, Besant still being on the chair list. I'm not sure about that. You mentioned a good area.
It might have been that he said a tariff of 35% on the EU if the EU doesn't meet obligations. I believe that was the
that's
comment
leaking the market right now.
Yes.
So again, we previewed all this and we got this correct here. It's like if he starts talking, about more tariffs, the market's going to come in. So, that's what we're seeing a little bit here right now. Again, don't expect like 50 handles of fall here. We are kind of numb to, the whole tariff thing. I know Kenny Glick comes, on our show every once in a while. We love Kenny. And, he summed it up really well. If you're still sitting here and looking at the news and waiting for the next tariff headline here, that was 3 months ago. The market is pretty numb to the tariff headlines here now. Now, not completely numb, but you're not going to get 50-point handles. Even when you get a deal announcement, you're not getting like 50, 70, 80 points, 100 points in one day. It's not like as much as it was. Like even yesterday, we were already up substantially here, and then obviously it built off of the EU headline. But it's not like it was. We remember at the 2.5% higher on the China deal, which wasn't even a deal at the time. I mean, we're just a little bit more numb to these tariffs.
Watching some of the chip names here. SMH is the ETF I like to watch. Trump says, I will be announcing on semiconductors and chips in the next week or so. No
chip
further
tariffs.
Details. He's also saying pharma tariffs within the next week. He said, I'll initially be putting a, quote, small tariff on pharma.
So is that small tariff, is that, viewed as a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. This industry is just such a mess here right now. It's so hard. I mean, maybe that moves us into the Pfizer earnings here from this morning here, because they just reported here, and we can cover this along with the tariff conversation with, pharma, which is weighing down the industry. The Pfizer earnings were excellent as well. 78 cents versus 57 cents, 14.7 billion versus 13.4 billion. They are raising their guidance as well from 283 to 290 to 310. So they're looking, bang, higher, $3. So you're talking about a stock with a 7% yield that is trading about 7 or 8 times earnings. Again, I don't expect this value trade to all of a sudden take off, because the story is just ice cold. People are indeed worried about tariffs. I've had Pfizer in the long-term portfolio, been very wrong about it. I'm in there. I'm just holding on to it. I do think, 10 years from now, I am getting paid to wait too at 7%, but it's been a terrible one. Like my best ones, what's made my long-term portfolio, the AMDs, obviously the NVIDIAs, there's been quite a few other. It's been the same story names that's made everybody's portfolios. And if you've got any of these value names, you've been disappointed. So we see a little pop in Pfizer here this morning. But again, overhead supply, a major issue. Weighing on it is potential tariffs. So lots of reasons to think that Pfizer's bounce likely doesn't hold again.
The expected move is like around a $1.08, $1.10, and you got all the way up to 24.45 on that pop, and now you're pulling back to 24. I think 24 is a nice round number. If it opens up, sadly bid there, then maybe take it up, test that pre-market high. That would be close to if there's not a ton of paper at 24, then there's going to be a ton of paper at 24.50. Long on the downside here. The top of yesterday's range is 23.68. So if you do get a big seller coming in off the open, then knock it down. That could be an area of support. Also, just getting in there, the moving average, the 50-day moving average right in there at 24.30. Big fall in Pfizer over the last week or so, falling from 25.5 to 23. So a lot of people potentially getting their money back in Pfizer PFE.
Caterpillar, I want to go to this one here. Really got hit initially as bouncing off those lows, because the buy the dip crowd emerges in this one too. Why is this a loved stock? Look at the chart. The stock was going out at all-time highs. So, I mean, you're right there. It's been loved. They actually flat out missed earnings. 472 versus 490, 16.69 billion versus 16.17 billion is a beat on sales, but they blame tariffs. They talked about, that unfavorable manufacturing costs. So why they missed on the bottom line was unfavorable manufacturing costs largely reflected the impact of higher tariffs. So they're saying they made less money in this quarter because of tariffs. Market completely forgiving here, because initially, Joel, we got hammered on this and went down to 407, I think it was. We've got all those losses back. So the buy the dip crowd emerges here again, giving more case that, hey, yesterday's, my call yesterday for a dead cat bounce is looking more like it was a real bounce. So, and obviously, one thing with trading is it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. How do you know when you're wrong? You lose money. I lost some money yesterday morning. I was talking about this in the chat on, some bad opening trades where I thought, the potential for, that market to give back those gains was there. I was wrong. I lost some money and I moved on.
Wow. 406.10 is where this went to. And then now it's back. After that kind of price action, you didn't really get much of a pop. You just had the immediate drop. I think for our our cat traders, I don't know how many we have out there. 433.70. That was your close yesterday. All-time closing high. If it's still, if they're really going to take this up, 438.02. But first things first, let's see if you can get the close. The close is after this kind of action. Straddle riders are just Rochambeauing. Strangle buyers are not so happy. Let's see what happens at that closing price of 433.70 in the cat.
More Trump commentary said on China, Xi called for a meeting and they are getting very close to a deal. He has said that so many times, the market is not moving on that whatsoever. They've already announced a deal twice, and now they're getting close to a deal. I mean, we can't even know what, what is like the full deal, no deal, deal. I mean, that's where the market is becoming numb to it all too, because it's all just, we're just talking out loud basically on a lot of this stuff. And, is there a call? There was a call before, and there was a call over here. And then they had a deal announced. So I don't know where the hell they stand on China. I don't think the market knows either. And I think the market's beyond caring at this point in time.
Dennis, and just to strengthen your point here, didn't the EU play nice yesterday off the open, that they were suspending things? And
it looked like it, yes. And that was why we rallied. That's why I got handed to me on the short side, because that EU headline broke. What time did that headline break? And it was like right around like 9:28, 9:30, right at the open.
I think
it's always bad when you're positioning yourself at the open, and then all of a sudden you have a headline, bang, and you get run over like that. I got run over. You were all over it too, Joel. You're like, you got run over on those shorts because of that EU headline. And it's true. And that did help build the rally. EU playing nice.
Banks are getting hit here. Trump just said banks discriminate. And we have BAC and JP Morgan kind of leading the moves lower here. I looked at Wells Fargo. I looked at Citi. I looked at Morgan Stanley. I looked at Goldman. They weren't responding as much. Coinbase also was coincidentally moving to session lows here. I don't know. I don't think Coinbase moved on that, but maybe just a little coincidence. But Bank of America is kind of getting hit here. It's down about
pretty hard.
Yeah, seriously. Yep.
Wells Fargo still trading in the green. It has not been hit yet, but Bank of America and JP Morgan's down $1.40 here. So we're just starting to see a little bit of selling. And it's like, I don't know if he mentioned a bank specifically here. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley still trading in the green here. They are not down here, but Bank of America, JP Morgan rolling over. So we're seeing a few individual. If he mentions any individual stocks, I mean, that's always can be market moving here too. But he mentioned specifically. He specifically mentioned Bank of America, JP Morgan have discriminated against him. He specifically mentioned those two banks. That's crazy. So you start seeing him like call out specific banks. That can be market moving here too.
Down to $1.20, 293.06. So quick reaction to the downside in both those stocks. I don't know whether that will follow through in the pre-market. Bank of America, not a good day at all yesterday. I mean, it was just hugging near that 50-day. Let's keep an eye on that. Wow, this in the strong market that we had yesterday, that only gained 20 cents. Need to get back over 46 here. So muted action in BAC yesterday. JP Morgan down $1.20. You are nowhere near yesterday's low yet. Yesterday's low, 290.26. Can we talk about just real quick? You mentioned Trump mentioning stocks. Aeropostale. Or no, America.
Huge move yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, if he mentions Aeropostale or not Aeropostale, what are you talking about? American Eagle Outfitters.
American Eagle.
You're getting confused because we used to pair trade those. Me and Joel back in the day with AEO and AEO. Aero's been long gone. AEO, though, still alive and well. And we know the jeans, the advertisements. We know Trump commentary from yesterday. What was the comment yesterday? So that's a good advertisement or something with the jeans and Sydney. What's her name? I always forget the girl's name.
I don't even know what her name
What's
is.
her name, Brent?
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, and we all know the commercials. They've been talking about them. They're a little bit, risky if you're gay, whatever you want to say. Trump said, great commercial, and AEO blasted off yesterday. Trump gave some love directly to AEO, and the stock blasted off from like 10 to like 13. Incredible moves. So when he's mentioned stocks specifically, Joel, to this point, they move, especially when they're smaller like that.
I'll be careful on this one. It also went to 1430 this morning. So pumpers out there in full. Then I read something that they did the show something of her at like a shooting range, which was supposed to be like some like high-tech shooting range we had, but is actually from a movie that she was in. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know where I saw that. Maybe like New York Post headline or something like that. But falling back, a lot of people piling in this yesterday. Now in the red. We will emphasize that closing price here of $13.28. I can't believe I said Aeropostale. How long has that been gone? American Eagle Outfitters here trying to hold the $13 level after one of its
I've got
best
the truth.
years.
I've got the so Trump truth over on his. I always like Brent say he's truthing again. So Trump truth yesterday. Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. It's for American Eagle, and the jeans are flying off the shelves. Go get them, Sydney. On the other side of the ledger, Jaguar did a stupid and serious woke advertisement that is a total disaster. The CEO has resigned in disgrace, and the company is in absolute turmoil. Who wants to buy a Jaguar after looking at the disgraceful ad? Shouldn't they have learned a lesson from Bud Light, which went woke and essentially destroyed in a short campaign the company? The market cap destruction has been unprecedented, with billions of dollars so foolishly lost. Or just look at woke singer Taylor Swift. Ever since I alerted the world as to what she was by saying on Truth that I can't stand her hate, she was booed out of the Super Bowl and became no longer hot. The tide has seriously turned. Being woke is for losers. Being Republican is what you want to be. Thank you for attention to this matter. Wow. That is an unbelievable post. Somebody said he's deleted it. I don't know if that is true, if he deleted it or not. But that is like, wow. So that is why AEO moved. I mean, the stuff said in there is unbelievable for a president to say. But, he does say some unbelievable things. U.S. trade deficit data just came out here, Brent, if you want to break out that.
No, we got some news moving in the quantum space. QUBT out with a press release here. They are awarded a photonic chip contract by the U.S. Department of Commerce's National Institute of Standards Technology. This news out of QUBT is moving the entire quantum space here. RGTI, QBTS, QUBT. What's the other one I'm forgetting? IONQ, all moving on this press release out of QUBT. QUBT shares are trading up about $1 here on this news item.
We do have our guest here in the background. We're going to get you, Jeff, in just 1 minute here. I just want to mention one more thing before we go. Is Coinbase, if you guys are wondering why it is trading down here, did a convertible offering, $2 billion announced at 7 a.m. this morning in a private offering here on a convert. And that is why Coinbase is trading down 13 points here this morning. So getting a little bit hit. Obviously, Coinbase sold off after earnings, and that sell-off continues here as we get that convertible note offering this morning.
300 is a pair of lows, right? We'll have to get to some more information on that offering, but at least you have two identifiable lows in the same area. That's right around $300, and Dennis, better be careful what we say here on the show, because just 4 big black limousines just showed up in my house and are knocking on my front door. So.
We didn't say anything bad. We just reported what the tweet was. I am shocked. I'll just say I am shocked at what was said yesterday in that truth. That is shocking. So let's get Jeff.
Jeff Hirsch, Stock Traders Almanac with Stock Traders Almanac hat. Jeff,
awesome.
How you doing today?
I'm great, man. Happy summer, fellas.
Yep. We're in the dog days of August here, and I don't know if you were listening to the top of the show, but I said Friday never happened. That sell-off on Friday, Jeff, forget that. In fact, I'm going to call TradeStation today and have them delete that day from my charts because it was absolutely irrelevant. We're right back up. We actually are below that closing price from Thursday. But you wanted to make an interesting point of when you end a long period of low volatility.
Yep.
Does your head need to be on a swivel?
It does. I mean, what we've seen, historically is that's the beginning of a bit of softness, and it sets up right here in August. I mean, we posted some nice back-tested charts on that. I mean, nothing's 100% of the time, but when you end that low volatility streak about at 26 days of less than 1% moves for the S&P, it's showing you that the market's a little bit, struggling to stay up there. I mean, we've seen some breadth issues. We're entering the seasonal period. I mean, it wasn't just Friday's close. I mean, we also were down the day before, the last trading day, July, first trading day, August, negative. Yeah, we had a positive pop on Monday. It's still early. We're still kind of right around there. And if you look at the chart, it shows that we got several weeks potentially of softness. And here we are in the weak seasonal period, and everyone's starting to take off for the summer, and that's what creates it.
This called the dog days of August for a reason then, Jeff. So should we just be taking off this month? This would be the month we should vacation, eh? If we're ever going to take a vacation, is this the month?
It's what I do. I mean, everybody kind of does. I mean, Wall Street heads to the Hamptons. I mean, it's a little bit less this day and age with the 24/7, crypto style trading that's going on out there, but 365 days of the year. But you can see it in the volume. You can feel it with what people are doing. I mean, there's festivals, there's rounds of golf, there's people going up to take their kids away to take some time off. I mean, I'm getting ready to take off with my wife for a little while. We're going out west. They're going to Yellowstone for a little trip.
Oh, nice.
And it's just out there. People are doing it, and then they come back in September and clean house and do some portfolio restructuring, some window dressing, and a Q3. Get ready for Q4. I don't see anything substantial on the downside, but your typical summer fall correction, 5-8%, somewhere in there. Potentially, I mean, there's a lot of bullishness going on there. Ever since the strikes in Iran, things have been kind of quiet on the world stage. I mean, there's a lot of chitter chatter about Putin and Russia and stuff, but taking that volatility out of the geopolitical arena was big. I know you guys were having a little fun. I was listening. I didn't catch the top of the hour, but I was listening for a little while with some of the truths that were posted and some of the other things that were going on. I was listening to President on CNBC there for a minute. Whatever you think of the situation, whatever side you're on, they've had some wins. I mean, there's been the bills that have been passed, the big beautiful one. They've had some deals. There's stuff that's still pending, and I think it was Dennis. You were saying that the market's kind of desensitized to some of this bluster about, oh, we got a big deal coming with this one, that one. They've heard it all. We had our washout in April. They've logged a few things. We're bringing in money. We'll see if the tariffs impact the economy. I personally, in my gut and in my historical analysis, don't think that it really impacts the market or the economy until next year, which is midterm election.
Right.
There's going to be battling to hold on to Congress or whatever thin margins they have. So, a little pullback here, August, September, and then we rally at the end of the year, and then we watch out for another midterm bear.
So, Jeff, hot Julys in the NASDAQ. We've had a lot of those, and since 1971, and that July, the NASDAQ was absolutely on fire. What kind of precedents do we have for August regarding those hot Julys?
It's not just August; it's the sort of subsequent Q3 fall period. The original research was done by my late father on the Dow. The Dow is not quite wasn't as strong at all as NASDAQ, but what we've seen is some selling. I mean, last year we had a very quick decline that was over it was about July 14th to August 8th or something, if memory serves. And the NASDAQ wasn't that strong, but it was a similar time frame. We see a July peak, potentially this year as well. It could wash out in August. August is that period of time that things happen. It could be a little bit later. So it's not just August, but September. And then we've got October volatility, which is the big turnaround month. Some of them are a little later in the year. Remember, we had that December 2018 sell-off in NASDAQ there. So it can happen later in the year, but just the big hot July means the market's just sort of rallying, getting overbought, and it sets up potential for a correction there in August, September, October usually.
All right. So
close are in August.
Okay, so if some things are cooling off in August, what could maybe catch a bid?
Well, one thing about the cooling off, we've seen a little bit of, before I tell you what could catch a bid, we see a little bit of softness in crypto and Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin's kind of like the boomer crypto nowadays, but it's a bit of a risk on, risk off indicator. So seeing some softness there is also indicative of people shoring up positions and doing some other things. But what could get a bid? I mean, we like biotech, comes into season in October. We like the ETFs, the IBB and the XBI. They're both up a little bit. We're looking for a little bit of a pullback ourselves. They're above our buy limits, and also Infotech, which the ETF we like there is, what is it? The IYW.
IYW.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the ticker. The Dow technology.
Political
ETF.
headwinds with that, Jeff. I mean, it just seems like, if you're fighting the administration, it just seems like the policies right now. Do you think that the seasonality pattern can went up over the political headwinds, I guess would be the best way to put it?
The political headwinds for what?
Biotech.
For biotech. I think we had that. We had the big RFK Jr. scare in the earlier part of the year, and they've rebounded substantially from there. I think we had some fallout over the past couple of years from the sort of anti-COVID vaccine sentiment that was out there. I think we're through that. So, yeah, that's the big $64,000 question. Are geopolitical headwinds going to win over seasonality? I mean, we've seen a lot of instances in history where something bigger overrides the seasonal tendencies of investors. So, yeah, we saw that with, I mentioned the strikes earlier. I mean, heading into a weaker summer period, we've got a real reduction in geopolitical headwinds, which buoyed the market substantially. So if something big happens on the world stage, yeah, it's going to override seasonality.
Jeff, let's just talk
Sure.
seasonality here. And obviously, dog days of August, but we start coming into the end of the year. And, obviously, your dad with Santa Claus rally, we know that's very at the end of the year. Do you anticipate, because the year has been a funny year. We started the year, January was okay, and then February and March and April was not great. And then we've come all the way back to make new highs here now. So I'm kind of, confused with even how this year is going to end up. I actually started the year saying maybe we end up in the same spot. We just chop around. Do you think, that this sets up, from what the data that you have on 2025 so far, do you set up for a good second half here? Or is it more just going to be more of this choppy environment?
It sets up a good fourth quarter from the historical point of view, seasonal point of view. I mean, we came into the year with our forecast came out in December, about 65% probability for our base case scenario of 8 to 12%. Best case was about 25%. That was 12 to 20. That was everything goes right. And then the worst case was 10%, where we have this flat, choppy, old school Republican post-election year where they sort of just wreck things, just because they want to change everything, and that happens. And then, we had that first quarter weakness in the post-election year. It was a little bit steeper, rolled into April. But if you look at some of the seasonal work that I put out there, the post-election year charts, you see that August, September sort of downdraft, and all the different iterations, even the aggregate cycle, which combines the post-election year with the 5th year of the decade and all years since 49. There's a soft patch there in August, September, and then we rally to a higher close in December, end of the year. And we rolled back the outlook to sort of 50-50 base case, worst case, while things were figuring out. Then we broke through all those resistance levels. You guys are technical technicians. You saw all that. And now we're leaning, like that best case scenario is becoming a bit stronger. And we think we could get close to another 20% year. So, yeah, we had the shakeout in April. Maybe we'll see a little softness here in August. No guarantees. I'm set up for it. We're going to wait until we get through this period before we get, super long again. I think a correction is afoot. But the market will tell me, either way, I think we close higher.
I'm not sure how much research you've done on Sal Rosh Hashanah by Yom Kippur for your seasonality patterns. Now an adage on Wall Street, but with the way you're talking now, maybe sell a little bit ahead of that mid-September date with expecting some weakness. One final sector that I want to cover, and a couple stocks in that sector, Infotech. Bullish season from mid-August to mid-January. Talk some Infotech stocks, ETFs for us.
I don't have any individual stocks on our recommended list right now. I mean, Palantir is impressing me just as a company. I think that's, somebody asked me, when Microsoft became the second $4 trillion market cap stock, what was the next one? Facebook is $2 billion. It would be a double, but I immediately thought something like a Palantir, something, that's on the cutting edge of maybe it's not right away, but so there's a bunch of stocks in that area where we still like Supermicro. That's on our list. We've sold that half on a double twice. We got a quarter position left in that. We've been in that since November 22. And we're going to be looking for another basket of these stocks. I mean, we're looking at the sector right now. We're not picking individual stocks right here in August, September. But when we get at the beginning of the best months of the year, starting around October, we'll start looking for some new stocks that are really blowing out numbers, acceleration of growth and revenue and earnings and good valuation. So I have no individual stock picks for you right now.
Okay. All right. Jeff Hirsch, Stocks Traders Almanac. Can get your order in early for 2026. Jeff, always a great seasonal approach to the markets. Always enjoy having you on. And we're going to have to get you on at least a couple more times before the end of the year. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Let's do it before Rosh Hashanah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. I'll send you a date. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, Chance, be good.
All right, Dennis, let's do
always
your
good perspective when you get
political
Jeff
analysis here of the latter part of Mr. Trump's speech. President.
So nothing breaking. It's over here now. Kind of said what we thought he would say. I mean, the commentary from Bank of America and JP Morgan specifically calling those banks out was unexpected. They have bounced back here too. They sold off once those commentary was said. Algo's like, sell. And then they're like, wow, come on. And then they just slowly buy it back here. So there really wasn't much of a bank sell off there. Brentster was watching in the background here too. We should bring him into this conversation here as well, Brent. Obviously watching the Trump interview here. You're on mute, Brent. I was trying to watch as you're doing the show, so it's kind of difficult to do. But, at the same time, I think just summing up, what I saw was one, commentary on a deal with China. They're doing conversations was a big comment. Also, commentary on looking for a new Fed chair, which could be announced soon. Makes me somewhat concerned that is he thinking about getting rid of Powell? Is Powell thinking about stepping down? What does soon mean? Does that mean next year when Fed Powell's term is up? Defined soon. So that was a little bit, of a surprise comment, I would say. Then just, talking more deals and more tariffs. So there was nothing really groundbreaking here, market moving as much as we thought. We leaked a little bit here in the S&P, and that could have been with data too. So what were your thoughts there, Brentster?
He said again, not anything dynamic here, not anything new, but on the Fed chair thing, he didn't give any insight for the timeline, but he did say that he could use the vacancy from Kugler to pick a future Fed chair. Seems kind of obvious. It's something we knew about. I think that the comments on pharma tariffs and semiconductors and chip tariffs were probably kind of like your couple of things that seem to move the market the most. So if we're just using the stock market as a proxy, maybe those were your kind of couple big comments. But yeah, I think the Bank of America and the JP Morgan comments, he's got his sights on those companies that he believed discriminated against conservatives. I believe that was the comment.
Joel, you have any comments here? Just thought process here as we sum up the interview.
I wasn't listening, and to those comments yesterday it was a good rally. It was a nice rally. It was pretty broad-based rally. Palantir is continuing the party here. I think the jury's still out. I know I talked jokingly about Friday didn't occur. I mean, you're right back up. You're right back up at Thursday's close. I know we had a little weakness, late in the day on Thursday, and then you had the big follow through. But man, oh man, I think this is a big day for the market. Holding on to these gains, I kind of, if you have to guess, I kind of feel like the high of the day is in there at that 63.7750, and you're gonna, the people that didn't rush out yesterday off the open or early in the session, I mean, there's a lot better prices here. So the market does what the market wants to do. I just think if you're looking at things on a longer term perspective, wow, we're only 100 points from the all-time high, and that all-time high was just kind of like a fluke that was made in the pre-market. So, I was like neutral to neutral yesterday. Today, I just I'm leaning a little bit. I don't want to say bearish because that's a bad word to use on Wall Street, but I would say cautious. I'd be cautious on this. Like if buying the open in particular stocks and stuff, I want to see immediate gratification. I want to see that pre-market low and the close, protected early on, and then work our way back up to 6,400.
I mean, we do have the potential. We have catalysts here tonight. AMD is going to be the biggest catalyst, which is reporting earnings, obviously, after the bell. It is still one of the biggest positions, if not the biggest position in my long-term portfolio. It's had a hell of a run. I mean, we were $80 back in April. We're now $180, basically. So we're up 130% or whatever that is in the last 3.5 months. It's been an impressive move. Is there profit taking ahead of this move? Because right now, this morning, they're ramping it up here again. And people are asking, you're going to take it through the report? Yes, I'm going to take it all through the report. I've been trading it from the long side as well. So I've been buying dips, and it's been a good trade for me as well on my trading account. I will not be taking any trade portion through, but the part that I have in my retirement account, I'm going to be continuing to hold that because I still think this story is still in the early innings for AMD, and I think Lisa Su is finally finding her way. Could there be a high bar here where this stock dips after earnings? Absolutely. This has been just an incredible run here. It does have a very high bar. We've seen good earnings reports go down, but there's also that possibility that they actually do blow it away here, and this puts them on the map. So it's a very big earnings report for AMD. The expected move here, just grabbing that for you as well tonight, is significant. We're talking about a $14 expected move. So it's a big move on a $170 stock, $14.50 to be precise. So it's a big expected move here. Joel, can you give us quick technical looks on AMD?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of, if they beat, I kind of, beat raise. Say we had the most, we blew it away. What was the word? Crush. We crush estimates. If you
are they going to say that in the report, Brentster? Crush on the headline. We crush. I don't think Lisa Su's saying that.
Doubtful.
What would I don't mind Palantir, using that, but what if they have a quarter? Someday they're going to have a quarter, and they're just going to miss, right? And they're going to miss badly. What would they come out and say then?
If AMD said that?
Or no, I'm just saying Palantir said crushed. And I like to see him use the term, we got crushed by
We got crushed. They accidentally put we got crushed instead of crushed. That would not be good here. Great question from the chat, which I want to address. RB saying, how can AMD be trading at the same price and video metrics behind show the company is not really equal? How does it not sell off? Well, from a price perspective, they're the same price, but from a market cap perspective, they are not even close.
No.
So AMD's market cap, we just go to currently, because it's been a big run up, so it has been closing the gap slightly, if ever so slightly. Actually, it's probably been widening because NVIDIA is just attacking on so much more so fast. AMD's market cap is only $286 billion. NVIDIA's market cap, updated market cap, is now $4.39 trillion. So NVIDIA is priced, what is that? I don't even know how to do that. 4.39 divided by the 2.3. What does that add up to? Like 15 times the size? Something like that? So NVIDIA's 15 times the market cap of AMD, just ballparking in my head. It might be 16, it might be 17. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the chat. But, even if it's 15 times, okay, so let's just think about that. So if it's 15 times bigger, if AMD can just grab a piece of NVIDIA's market share, there is huge room to the upside here. So don't get confused by stock price. Stock price doesn't matter. It's market cap that matters. And what market cap is obviously the value of the company. So AMD is just valued at a small fraction of what NVIDIA. So if Lisa Su can execute, there is the huge potential that AMD could be an awesome catch-up trade. And that is why I'm heavily in it. I think that does happen. I don't think AMD is ever going to be the leader. I think NVIDIA is going to continue to be the leader, but they don't have to be the leader to make a lot of money on this stock. If they were to get up there and get a 7, 8, 10% market share, on and obviously some of their newer chips they're saying may compete with Blackwell, this stock could be an easy double from here. So AMD is actually just worth a fraction of what NVIDIA is.
And that's been your thesis forever.
Forever. That's why I've been, and again, I've been right in this, wrong in this, and right again, because I have been saying the thesis. It was the stock in my acronym for last year. So I was right because it was early, and it ran. It went from 100 to 230. But then obviously 2024 is not a good year for it. 2025 even worse. I put it back in my acronym here again. And now I'm starting to look a little bit better on this. But yeah, I've had this thesis for a long time that I think Lisa Su will eventually figure it out. Really, when you're investing in companies, I've said this before, you're investing in management, you're investing in the people you believe in. I believe in Lisa Su, and I believe she's going to eventually find her way. And that's why I think AMD is a good catch-up trade.
Okay, just technically here, it's going to be hard to find. I mean, on the dailies, you can look at Friday's low is a potential support point, but last month's high was 182.50. If you're looking at some numbers on the upside, and I'm just going to give you a range because there's a double top on the monthlies up at 187.28, and both of those are well within the expected move too. But first things first, today I don't think it's going to get to 182.50, but watch that knee-jerk reaction, see what happens at that July high in AMD.
Other big companies reporting tonight, SMCI. A lot of people are going to watch that. We won't have time to preview all of these because I want to talk to quantum stocks just briefly here. So last night, we gave, in the STN room, we talked about D-Wave, Quantum QBTS, getting a buy rating from Stifel. And this was when the stock was $17.30. I bought it live in the room at $17.31. And I said, I think the stock could be $18 tomorrow. It has occurred. It has went to $18. So I got this call right. They gave a price target of 26 because Stifel is fairly influential and it wasn't getting a lot of love last night. But as that note makes the rounds here this morning, it's starting to get a lot more love. Other news in the quantum sector here is QUBT is getting a big lift here. They get a government contract here. So QUBT gets a government contract by the National Institute of Standards and Technology for Design and Fabrication, U.S. Department of Commerce, National Institution of Standards and Technology. So for a photonic chip. And so QUBT is actually trading up 8% here as well. The quantum stocks have been a little bit sleepy late. Could this be something, you get a positive headline, you get a rating in the area here? Could this ignite this group? Because this group's been a little bit sleepy and not really participating in yesterday's rally as much.
Yeah, old resistance. You broke out for 14 in that one. You came back down. You kissed it. Trading at just under $16. If you're looking for, wow, this got over 17. So, but the 50-day right at 16.62. And then what was the first quantum stock you mentioned?
QBTS. It was the one with the rating last night.
Yeah. Nice technicals on that one, Dennis. On the pops, 20 to 16. Halfway back is 18. Also, a pair of highs, a little bit above that. If you're looking for more on this one, you have your 3 and 4 day high right at 1850.
So 9 o'clock here. The conversation will continue over on the Stock Trader Network STN. If you want to do your free trial, come on over. We're going to be talking a lot of the other earnings names here. We're talking trade setups. We're going to be talking new Buffett purchase. Well, not new, but added Buffett purchase with a little bit more Siri. Sold a little bit of DBA. So we got lots to talk about there over on the Stock Trader Network. Go on over and join us.
Thanks, folks.